You are what you eat. How seriously do we take that phrase? This is your brother Mohammad Maxwell Hassan here, and for today's conversation, it's all about the food that's on your plate, the food that's on your fork and spoon. What type of food do we eat, especially during Ramadan, that will determine our overall life? Now, have you ever noticed that when you eat certain foods, you feel a little more sluggish? You don't have that much energy. And if there are some other foods that you eat, suddenly there's a jolt of energy. It's not rocket science. A lot of times, what we consume, our input determines our output. We are what we eat. Now, particularly with Ramadan, by now you may have heard of the main purpose of Ramadan. What's the whole point of Ramadan? To gain taqwa, to gain that God consciousness, to be aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you and I are doing in public or in private. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what we reveal and what we conceal. The whole point of Ramadan is a training ground for us to develop that taqwa. However, in spite of that, you might find that a lot of Muslims still are laser focused on the iftar and the suhoor, filling up their bellies and trying to make sure that they have a good meal every night. Now, don't get me wrong, we're human beings. We need to eat in order to survive. It's just that, is there an imbalance that's at play here? That's all it is in this case. Is it an imbalance? Are we so focused on the food and less about the other things? Or is it something else? Now, one of the things that I found remarkable in the Quran is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of a phenomenon that for us as human beings, that we can fall into. It's a trap. And that trap is wastefulness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention, it's a very scary association, is that for those of us who waste, who are wasteful, we are like the brothers of shaitan, ikhwana shayateen. If we're wasteful, then we're equivalent to the brothers of shaitan. Now, in this context, let's talk about wasting food. Wasting food. And you may have had experiences. You might have seen it yourself, and let me share I'll share an example with you. One time I was at a restaurant with my family, and subhanAllah, on the other side, there was another family with a big feast. Lots of food. It looked like they were eating well. And after some time, after we were wrapping up, we noticed that the other family was wrapping up. However, on the table, more than half of the food was gone. It was still there. It was still remaining. And subhanAllah, not even asking for any sort of leftover trays to be picked up, etc., nothing like that. They just left the food to be wasted. What will the restaurant do? Just compile it and throw in the garbage. Now, you may be wondering, why is it that there's some people who just simply leave things alone? Why can't they just pick it up and they, eat for later? At least not to avoid wasting it. SubhanAllah, one thing that I found is that there's this negative connotation with that. Sometimes you might find some people thinking lesser of themselves if they pick up this food. They might equate this to something else as saying, oh, lower status or this, that, and the other. And so it's better to just leave it. And you'll find actually throughout history, if you notice that the high emperors, the rulers, this sort of behavior manifests itself in so many ways just to show I can do what I can do. Like, I don't need this food and just throw it out, and it is what it is. But subhanAllah, for us as Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is highlighting something very significant here. Not to be wasteful, to be mindful. Everything has a purpose. Every food has a purpose. But so if we overstuff ourselves, this is one side of the equation. On the other side of the equation is that if we can't even fill up whatever we're meant to do, the solution is not to toss it out. SubhanAllah, I remember the other day I was watching this documentary. How much food goes to waste? How much food that could be distributed among the people, let's say the homeless, the less fortunate. So much potential in the food is gone, tossed in the trash. simply because it is what it is. There's many factors at play here. But what I'm trying to say here for us as Muslims, you are what you eat. I am what I eat. We got to take note of what is it on our plates that really will determine our relationships. Now, you might find that there's some days things are just snappy. You don't know why. One way to look into things is, what did you eat recently? And subhanAllah, there is a connection there. I was reading up on some studies that were showing how certain foods lead to certain tempers. There is that connection there somehow, some way. You're more than welcome to look it up to find that link. Is it true? You are what you eat. And subhanAllah, for us as Muslims, the whole point of Ramadan is for us to exercise that taqwa, to exercise that patience. It's almost like a hard reset of our body. For 11 months of the year, maybe you've been very fortunate to have a full fridge, and that you've been fortunate enough to eat, mashallah, whatever your heart desires. In this month, this 1 month of sacrifice, your body and my body can use this as a reset button to just fix things internally. You never know what could be behind closed doors, subhanAllah. Because even still, like, not just food is one side. What about water? What about water? You know, the other day, subhanAllah, I've recently, more than one occasion, I've had multiple brothers saying that they had kidney stones. May Allah protect us all, and may Allah help us. This is a reality that kidney stones happen. One of the primary causes is lack of drinking water. We're not hydrated. We're not taking that active effort to replenish our bodies. And so something like that is as painful. And they said the pain of kidney stones causes people to throw up, and it's intense and unbearable. May Allah protect us from this. You are what you eat. I am what I eat. And we got to be mindful of what all this and how this all comes to play. Now, you might be wondering, well, okay, let's talk about breaking the fast, because that's a key moment here. After a full day of no eating, no drinking, now what is it that we can use to break our fast with? SubhanAllah, you know, what I used to do, I used to break my fast with samosas. I thought samosas were a great option because it's filling, it's an opportunity to eat, and you can just gobble down as many as you can. And I thought, oh, in my mind, it'd be great. No. I remember there was one brother who taught me very well that samosas, anything oil related, don't. Your body's not ready to handle this at this time, especially coming from a full day of fasting. No food, no water, and all of a sudden you shove deep fried foods down. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Instead, replace the samosas with fruits that have water in them. So for example, well, there's dates that have the natural sugar, and then you have other fruits. Let's say a peach, could be some strawberries, some fruits that already have water built into it. Because the number one thing that your body is looking for is not just food, it's water too. We're being dehydrated, right? So the whole point is to replenish ourselves with certain foods. Try it out. Try it out for yourself, in the sense of, try to break your fast with fruits instead of deep fried foods, and see the difference. Feel the difference. Your body is not just going to be at its own will to just readily accept whatever food is on the table. It needs preparation. It needs to be ready for it. And subhanAllah, at the end, if we are exercising that whole mindfulness of you are what you eat, asking yourself, the next time you look at a plate, the next time you shovel food into your mouth, the next time you look at your fork, ask yourself, will this help me or will this hurt me? Will this help me or will this hurt me? As tasty as it is, as delicious as it is, being mindful how we replenish our body is what it is. Because we have only one body. We have only one body. And the Prophet ﷺ made mention for us to take care of our body, even our foods. 1/3 of your stomach should be for food, 1/3 should be for water, 1/3 should be for air. So even not to just gobble and stuff it down. So at the end of the day, it's Ramadan. Yes, food is a top priority. However, if we're mindful of being aware of you are what you eat, inshallah, it's going to affect not only your life, it's going to affect the lives of the people around you. They're going to start to notice things that are different about you. You have more energy. Everything just falls into place, inshallah, simply because you had control over your fork, you had control over your spoon, you had control over what food you're putting into your stomach. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who are healthy and happier and being people who are aware of you are what you eat. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullah khairan, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.